So there I was in Best Buy with my wife, looking at all the beautiful TVs, LG OLED over there, Samsung, you got the new Vizio P series, you got the Sony 4K HDR series with the upscaling processor that's supposedly like no other. Some TVs better with lights, some TVs better with darks. And the question is, what the hell TV do you purchase? And so I went through this recently. I probably spent, 20 hours of research, debating on, was it worth spending an extra 500 for this TV or that TV? Where should I buy the TV from, and which TV should I get? So to get started, I did know I wanted a 75-inch TV. I probably would have liked to go bigger, but that was probably as big as my wife was going to allow me to have, and insert any kind of joke you want there. And so 75 was where I was looking. I might have gone 70, but 70 is kind of a weird size. You don't see a lot of TVs in that category. So, and I have a 65 now. It's not where my couch is. It's about 11 feet to 10 feet. And you can go online. There's like, it's like 7.7 inches per foot away. Or there's some calculation as far as how far your TV should be from your couch. And the way our living room is set up, I think a 75 would kind of do that justice. And then also, it does kind of jump up in price from 65 to 75. That's a pretty big leap. So do keep that in mind as well. So I actually kind of want to start this video with, if I was going to get a 65-inch TV, I would either get that TCL or I would get the same TV I got, but in the 65-inch, which is the P65F1. I think I left it open over here. So the TCL 65R617, the newest model, great TV, highly recommended. Or the Vizio P series is the other one. So now with the P series, you can also get the P series Quantum. So if you got a little bit extra cash, you can go with that. But get the P series 65. That would be my go-to if you're going with a 65-inch on a budget. Best bang for your buck. That's not what I shop for though, so that's all I want to talk to you about. 65. Now you got to make the jump up to 75. And in order to do this, I use this website a lot, which was the Rtings or ratings.com. And they say, the best is the LG C8. But the problem with the C8, it's ridiculously expensive. And something you should know is that these OLED TVs actually, look at that, $5,800. Like, I was not ready to spend, like, it would have to blow me away, and it didn't blow me away the way I needed it to when I saw it in the store. And OLEDs have a really big burn-in issue. So for example, if I'm using a computer on my TV and I have this shot right here with this picture of this TV, it can actually get almost like semi-permanently imprinted on the TV. Now it does come with this technology that can clean that off over time, but to me it's just like, I'm not going to spend that much money on a TV and have a risk of it burning in the image. That's not cool. And also it was pretty much out of my price range. But when I went to the store, I wanted to see like, what is the best? What are people saying like, oh, this is like the standard for 75. So I saw it. It was beautiful. It was not an extra, $2,000+ beautiful to me. But as you see, it gets 8.8, heavily rated in movies, especially. And that's really where I don't watch a lot of sports TV. I'm going to mainly be doing it for movies and watching YouTube content online, things like that. So they say the LG C8. And then they say the Samsung Q9 series. So there's the QLED series of Samsungs. And so really short, without making this video super long, it wasn't until the Q8. So it goes, I think Q6 is where it starts, as Q6, Q7, Q8, Q9. The Q6 is really what was the competitor at the price point I was looking at. So I'm just going to use Best Buy for this comparison with their current Black Friday deals. So these are all last year's models here. So this is the TV I ended up getting, the Vizio 75P series. And it's by far one of the best bangs for your dollars as far as a 2018 unit, recent, HDR, and then it's just a really, really bright. It was really bright. I really liked the quality that it had. The next one that kind of competes at that price is the Q6. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is back on this, they said the second best is the Q9. And I would have to agree that it wasn't until it was actually the Q8. The Q6, Q7, I still felt the P series Vizio was a slightly better picture. It wasn't until the Q8. And if you scroll down here, the Q8, I'm just using Best Buy because all their prices are. See, the Q8 is $3,500. So now it's double the price of the Vizio I ended up going with. And when I thought about it, the Q8 was nicer than the P series, but it wasn't double the price nicer. I'm sorry, it just was not. So that's why I didn't go for the Samsung QLED series. Now here was the biggest contender before we get into my P series that I ended up purchasing was the Sony. The upscaling was phenomenal. It was a brighter picture than the Vizio. It has much better technology than the Vizio has. There's way more LEDs. It's just a way better product in many ways, but it wasn't worth the price. Even with Black Friday, I actually really shopped around on the Sony, the 900F, and I could find it as cheap online as like $2,600, $2,550. But again, I ended up getting my Vizio for $16.99. So to me, it wasn't $800 or $900 better. But if I was like a baller and I just didn't care and I had the extra cash, I probably would have gone with the Sony, like no doubt. And if you read a lot of the forums and what people are saying, the Sony is killer. You have a couple people who go with the P series that wish they had spent the extra money on the Sony. So I hope that's not me, but we'll see. The thing with the internet is you don't know who to trust, and I read enough reviews to give the P series a chance. So the Sony is a big contender. So that's really what it boiled down to me from a price perspective was the Q6 because it was close enough to it, and then the Sony. But the Sony was significantly more money, and the Q6 was not as nice as the Q8, which is what I really was I thought those were more at par. Now other brands with LG, even the Best Buy salesperson mentioned to me that you really got to go up to OLED and go up to those higher prices before LGs really start killing Samsung and the P series. Or the problem is with the Burnin. And so I just didn't go there at all. I kind of nixed that in the butt because I did not want that Burnin issue. Okay, that was something that just totally threw me off, and that's why I didn't go with it. But LG is considered one of the more revolutionary, one of the more pushing the boundaries of the TV technology. So you might be wondering, well, how did you come up with this? Well, Wirecutter named the Vizio, not Sony, P Series F1 is the best TV of this year. And then also back to this, the best 75-inch TV, 70, 75, 77. You can see it goes LG, the Samsung, too expensive, and then the one I ended up getting. Now, I didn't just pick this one because they told me to. Like I said, I went to the store. I looked at them. They have the wall in the Magnolia Center where they have them all. They had the Sony next to the C8, next to the P series, and I saw them all. And really interesting side thing that you should actually think about as well is the type of content they're playing on the TV. Because some of them are playing these like demo reels, which are purposely built to show off the TV. And it was funny when I was talking to the guy, he was showing me 1080p content. And I was like, don't you want to show me like 4K HDR stuff? He's like, no, I like to show customers the upscaling, right? Because a lot of the content we're going to be consuming is at a lower resolution or is an older content. And so what you want to grade a TV on is how it upscales that picture and how the motion works on it. And so that's how they grade it, which I thought was cool to think about. And then he was also like, and then I want you to take it home and I want you to put some 4K content on it and just be blown away, which is a cool thing, right? Because it's like you buy it and you think, oh, it looked better in the store, than it did at home. So I was like, that's a good strategy as far as getting someone to keep their TV. So the lesson there is watch the TVs with the lower content and see how the upscaling is, the lower end content. So Wirecutter says so, our rating said so. And then if you scroll all the way down here, you could see that there's a little comparison chart of like overall scores and how they scored them. You can see the Sony C8. So the A1E was out of my price range as well. It was also last year's model. Didn't look at this one. The Q8 was too expensive. So this was the one I really liked. The Sony X900F. If you have the money, I strongly recommend go for the Sony X900F in this category. The Q7, the Q6 were not as good as this P series. As you see, the Q7 barely beats out the P series that I got. And if you go back to here, you can see that do they have the Q7 is $2,800. So it's still $1,000 more than the P series. Why would you spend $1,000 more on a TV that pretty much rates the same? It's a little bit better for TV, which I don't watch TV. A little bit better for sports. I don't really watch sports. Like I'm going to be using video games. I'm going to be using HDR. I'm going to be using this stuff and then movies. So it really shined out. Now, everything is saying, well, Drew bought the P series. It must be a great TV. And let me tell you, I really battled this out. And once I get the TV and we review it, we can really see how this goes. But the bad news on these Vizios is Vizio has a bad track record. There's people that just have horror stories of the logic board or the board on the TV going out. The third-party apps on it supposedly are not very good. The Chromecast, they're not as good as TCL and Sony. I don't really care that much about that. So this is the AVS forum, and evidently people run these tests, and the way that these P series work is, and the reason why they're so much cheaper is that they're more, from what I understand, the LEDs are at the bottom and then they kind of shoot up. They don't necessarily have LEDs throughout. There's not the array as much as like the Samsungs are. And so the Samsungs actually consume less power, but they have all those LEDs, especially when you get to the Q8 and the higher end QLED TVs, and that's why they're able to be so bright and have so much dimming and motion and things like that. So Vizio's kind of hacking this with their own, like the way they do it is different than that array. But the problem with that is you get something called jail bars, and you can see right here they're doing a YouTube gray uniformity video on their TV. And no, before I go into this, supposedly from what I read, this is more prevalent on the 75-inch. The 65 doesn't necessarily have this issue, and that makes sense though that it's a bigger TV. A lot more light has to travel further. But the whole idea of these jail bars is when you're like looking at a scene that has lots of clouds or lots of white, you can actually see the LEDs coming in like jail bars, like if you're in jail, but they're little white bars, and that throws a lot of people off. Now, some people get them and they're like obvious. I have never seen them in real life. And then some people have none, some people have a little, some people have extreme. But that's why I bought such a large warranty on my TV, is because if I don't like it, if I get these bars, I'm obviously going to run this test. And if I feel like it's not quite good enough, then I'll go return it and buy the Sony. That's my plan. To me, it was a gamble worth taking. And if Wirecutter's saying it's the best, our rating is saying it's the best, they must be overlooking that or saying like that slight disadvantage makes up for it in all these other areas. So with all that said, that's why I went with it. I ended up going with Costco. If you want to know why, I made a previous video on that. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any comments, questions, you have a different experience, you have shed some light, please comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Links in the description to a lot of this stuff, and we'll catch you on the next one.